In 1961, President Kennedy called on all Americans to rise to the challenges of the day. He knew that success depended upon the unity of efforts throughout the federal government and the nation. The Greater Boston Federal Executive Board, one of 28 across the country, fosters communication, coordination, and collaboration with federal, state, and local government agencies. This is your federal government, and I am your host, Diane LeBlanc. Hello, everyone. Today we are featuring the United States Postal Service, and our guests are Boston Postmaster James Holland and Marketing Manager Wanda Santos. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, Diane.
Thank you for having us.
Jim, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Most people know what the mission of the Postal Service is, but talk about sort of the history of the Postal Service connected to the mission and how it's changed over the years.
Well, the history of the Postal Service, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually authorized in the U.S. Constitution as being one of the few agencies that's written inside the Constitution, but we even predate the Constitution, whereas we were given a charter by King Charles I back in 1639 to Richard Fairbanks to have the Fairbanks Tavern be the place where folks could drop and send letters similar to what they did in England back in the 1600s. So that all began in Boston back a number of years ago. So from that particular point up to around 1691, the American Postal Service was overseen by the British government up until the Second Continental Congress. And at that point, it was written into the Constitution, and when it was ratified and passed in 1789, the Post Office Department was actually formed. And at the time, and still today, we're part of the executive branch of government, and it was a cabinet post up until 1970. And the Postmaster General was the last person in the line of succession to the president if and when anything ever happened along those lines. But one of the biggest changes that happened in the Postal Service that helped us get to where we are today with automation and technology was the implementation of the zip code in 1963. And that kind of helped shape the growing nation and kind of put into logical orders the zip code so we could sort the mail at a much quicker speed so we can get it across the country more reliable and keep the cost down low. And we continued to stay at the Post Office Department until 1970. And at that point, there was a strike by postal workers, and there was a reorganization of the organization, and we went from being the Post Office Department to the United States Postal Service. And with that, we became a quasi-government agency, so we're fully funded by all the products and services that we sell, and we don't receive any tax dollars at all in order to fulfill our mission.
Okay, so talk a little bit more about today's organizational structure. I mean, you mentioned zip codes help to organize, and you are the postmaster
Yes.
of Boston. But put it in context, if you will. Nationwide, what does the organizational structure look like? And then what does it look like, down a little bit, closer to home? And what are your responsibilities as the Boston Postmaster?
Okay, from an organizational structure at the top, we have a board of governors. It's comprised of 11 members. 9 of them are appointed with the consent of the Senate to sit on the actual board. Their terms are for 7 years, and the other 2 members of the board would be the Postmaster General and the Deputy Postmaster General. From there, the organization flows down, and the country is broken up into 7 different areas in 67 districts across the country. We're part of what we call the Northeast area, and there's 10 districts within this area. So it ranges all New England, upstate New York, and New York City and northern New Jersey. So that's our area of the country. In terms of what I oversee for the Boston Post Office, of being a postmaster of Boston, I oversee about 850,000 deliveries that's brought out over 1,800 routes, and it stretches across 49 cities and towns. So it goes up from Stoneham all the way down to Marshfield and as far out to Weston. And we get that done approximately with 4,000 are the best, hard-working employees you would ever want to meet.
You know what? Absolutely. I love my postal person. Just really an amazing person, and he's there every day, as they say. So you mentioned that you're funded, you don't receive taxpayer funding, that your funding comes from the services that you provide, and people pay for those services. And you said you are quasi-federal. And what exactly does it mean to be quasi-federal?
Quasi-federal means that we're still a federal agency, but we're independent from the federal government itself. So we would not get a subsidy in terms of any type of appropriations coming from Congress to pay for the total operation of the Postal Service. Again, that would just come from the sale for the sales of all our products and services.
Okay. So Wanda, that leads us to you as the marketing manager. I mean, we know things have changed and technology makes things different. How is the United States Postal Service responding?
Well, one of the things that was important for us to do was upgrade our technology, our USPS.com. So if you notice, if you've been on there, it has a new look. And to make it easy and quick and convenient for our customers to be able to use us, we do about, I would say in the high 90 percentile of what you can do in a brick and mortar, you can go on that platform and do. Absolutely. There's a whole array of services that we can provide. Additionally, we have mobile apps where you can use a BlackBerry, an Android, or an iPhone and be able to go and look up a zip code and locate post offices and do some things there for us to remain relevant.
So talk a little bit more specifically about the different online services. What are the different categories?
Well, you can buy stamps on there, you can compare postage, you can actually print postage. If you go, we have platforms such as Click and Ship or USPS or PC Postage where you can actually get a discount. We're going to give you a discount to go online of 5%, and you're going to get delivery confirmation for free if you go on Click and Ship and do some things like that. You can order a P.O. box, renew a P.O. box. You can order complimentary shipping supplies. You can go on Cardstore and design a store and mail it. You can buy ready post packaging products. There's, like I said, there's about a 90th percentile of what you can do in a brick and mortar. You can go on that platform and do without ever leaving the convenience and the comforts of your home. And if you're a small business, you can actually go in there. If you're a power shipper on eBay or a platform like that, you can actually stay at home, and then when your carrier comes by, you can actually give them your packaging. So again, we're going to make it very easy for you to grow your business from the comforts of your home and never have to leave there.
Amazing. So you pretty much can do everything. If you walk into a post office and you would do it there, you can do a lot of that, again, right online. And Jim, you talked about the volume of work being done and the number of postal carriers. And that volume was reference to actually mail going through the mail system as opposed to the online services.
Correct.
So what kind of volume is occurring online? We must know that.
Well, we have our alternative channels represent about 35% of our revenue that comes into the Postal Service now. So it's the brick and mortar where our customers are actually walking into a post office. Right. The younger generation obviously is with the postal app or using USPS.com. We actually average about 1.3 million viewers to USPS.com on a daily basis. So it's a pretty powerful tool for people to, again, to buy stamps, to change your address, to renew or buy a post office box, to do click and ship, mail, forward your mail. It's just a number of different options that you can do on there.
Very, very, very cool. So, Wanda, you mentioned some things that I didn't know you could do online. What did you say, Cardstore? What is that?
You can actually go on Cardstore and personalize. You can actually design your own card and put a stamp on it, send it out to anyone. So you can download images, or you can create your own card, or pick ones that are already done there and do your holiday greeting cards right from the Cardstore and do anything. Whether you're a small business or just a residential person, you can go on there.
So is Cardstore generating a hard copy card or an electronic card?
A hard copy card.
A hard
so you
copy
can create.
card.
Yeah, that's right. And
Very
you know
cool.
that there's nothing that has more of a positive impact than receiving a physical piece of mail.
You know what, and that is so true. And thinking about our show today, and I get that we need to respond, and there's this younger generation, and they want the app, and you need to operate like a business. You need to stay relevant. You need to recognize that the customers are paying for the services, so your costs need to be kept low. So you need to, again, respond with all of this new technology, while at the same time servicing a large number of customers who still want to go to their post office. They still want to do, the regular mail, but I think about my treasures that I have, and they're the cards that I've received from family members and friends over the years, and the letters. And yes, I get a lot of that these days, email and whatnot. I don't print them out. I don't save those. So, I know exactly what you're talking about. What are the busiest times of the year? I think I know the answer to this, but
Well, the busiest time of the year obviously will be around the holidays, and we have our peak holiday. Our peak mailing day is usually the Monday, 2 Mondays before the actual holiday itself, and followed by that a couple of days after that would be the peak delivery day, in which all the packages that people came into the post office to mail on Monday made it through the system for the delivery actually on Wednesday or Thursday of that following week, or of that same week, excuse me. So some of the tips that we have in terms of when folks mail their holiday packages is, first and foremost, the most important, if you have battery-operated toys or electronics, to make sure you take the batteries out of the actual the toy or the electronic, because sometimes they have a tendency to go off while they're in the mail, and they make ticking sounds, and it makes our employees a little bit nervous and our inspection service a little bit nervous. We also asked that customers would put the address on one side of the box. So they would put their return address and the address where it's going to, plus on the inside of the box, also put the return address and the address where it's going to, just in case it gets wet and the address washes off, and it will give us an opportunity to go and make sure that that present will make it to its destination on time.
Interesting. So I expected that you were going to say the holidays, and you did. But then the other busy day, April 15th, when everybody's mailing in their taxes.
April 15th
yes, no?
used to be a busy day, but a lot of people are doing it online now, and it's almost a non-event now, where years ago we used to have the local radio stations used to come and make a big deal, and we used to have a big party, and now it just doesn't happen that way anymore.
Interesting. So Wanda, again, some of the other services, I know that people can use the Postal Service to get a passport. Talk about that.
It's my happy responsibility. What we did was we partnered with the Naturalization and Immigration Department to be able to issue passports, not only in our brick and mortar location, which we have 170 of, but you can actually now, our newly naturalized citizens, when they get naturalized, we're on site to ensure that they can apply for a passport and be able to get one. In fact, we generate more passports than any other district in the country, and we have 67. So locally, we are doing a great job at ensuring that all have passports to travel.
So is every Postal Service worker trained to process passports, to do this paperwork process? How does that work?
Our sales and service associates are trained to be able to accept passports, and they have to have, of course, clearance and training to be able to do that. I think that our post 9/11 world has ensured that we have the securities and the protections to be able to successfully process passports at a level, and that our employees have the absolute training that they need to ensure, safety of the infrastructure.
You've brought some things. What have you brought me?
Well, I think that I get really excited, and it's hard for me to contain my energy during this television interview. But I think that the people that are reviewing the program understand that we deliver mail, and that we process mail, and that we sort mail, and we do those kinds of things. But there's another aspect of our business. If we do our job today, we want to ensure that we let people know that if you're a small business or a small to medium business, we have business solutions for you to be able to grow that business. And there is no other media that has been proven, other than mail, that has been proven more effective at enabling a small business to develop those one-on-one relationships with customers or to introduce yourselves to new one. And there is no other marketing method that has been proven to be more profitable when used effectively than mail.
So if there's a small business owner out there that's watching, or somebody looking to start up a small business, is there somebody at the Postal Service they can call? Can they go into their local post office and talk to anybody? What do they do, or are they just left to sort of going and checking the website?
We have a small business development specialist that is incredibly enthusiastic. His name is Peter Clark, and he's working with our employee engagement programs. But particularly, I want to talk about Every Door Direct Mail, because if you're a small business, and I think that I mentioned this earlier, we want to ensure that you do everything from the comforts of your home. It's quick, fast, easy, and convenient, so that you can actually go on now and get a customer registration ID, and then go on USPS.com/everydoordirectmail, use our mapping tool. And really what you're going to do is you're going to look at the neighborhoods around your business. You're going to target those, pick out your routes, we're going to calculate the postage for you, and you're going to print out a postage statement, a place of location, your drop-off location where you're going to drop that mail, and a facing slip. It's that easy, and you would be able to promote your business. And it has many uses. It's not just designed to grow your business. For a business customer, you might have a daughter or a teenager that's looking for a babysitting job, or you might have an Avon business or something like that, a Mary Kay business, and you're looking for additional representatives, and you're going to use Every Door Direct Mail to be able to grow that kind of business. And additionally, I have in front of me a postcard of a lost pet. You can use Every Door Direct Mail even if you've lost your cat or your dog, and you'll be able to design and print this out and send it out to the neighborhood to ensure that they find your lost pet. So it has many uses, and I think that it would be important for me to mention that our target audience for this aren't necessarily people that are already using the mail with mail service providers. What we're trying to do is get new customers that haven't used the mail to be able to do that in a quick, fast, easy way, inexpensive way, because you don't have to pay a permit fee, you don't have to buy a mailing list, you don't have to pay an annual fee. You can do that just from your, like I said, from your laptop.
So if you are a small business, you're always worried about the cost of these services. And as you alluded to, there are other providers out there of these kinds of services. How do your costs compare?
The beauty about it is, before this product came out, if you're a new business, a pizza shop or a dry cleaner, and you were trying to let people know that you actually exist, or to bring people in, what if you had coupon? Before you would have to buy a mailing permit, which would cost about $350. Then you would have to buy a mailing list, so you can get a list of the addresses in that general area. Now with Every Door Direct Mail, with the mapping tool, they can go out 1 mile from the center where their store is supposed to be, or where the store is located, or they can go out 2 miles, 3 miles. They decide how far they want to go. And with doing that, they don't need mailing lists, they don't need to pay for the permit, and it costs 14.5 cents per piece. So if you want to reach 1,000 customers, you're talking $145, which is a great deal.
That's a pretty good deal. It certainly is. Wow. Okay. So, how did you become the postmaster in Boston?
Well, my career began as a distribution and window clerk. So I sorted some mail in the back, and then I actually sold stamps down at South Station. And I loved that job. I did it for a couple of years. And then I switched over and worked the night shift, worked the machinery that actually sort the mail. And from that point, I decided I wanted to go carry mail for a while. So I did that for a couple of years over in the neighborhood of Rosendale, the section of Boston. And then right around 1996, I decided I wanted to take my career in a different way and down a different path. And I decided to become an initial level supervisor that oversee the delivery and retail operations over in the city of Cambridge. And I did that for a number of years. And then it slowly started to move up, where I went from Cambridge and went down to Braintree for a while. Then from Braintree went to Brookline, and then became, as we called an area manager that would oversee a geographic area, and then eventually got promoted to the job that I'm in now as postmaster.
Nice. So
It's the best job that anybody could ever have. I love it.
you really did work your way up. Now,
Yeah.
Wanda, how about you?
I started my career as a clerk in the mail processing, a general mail facility up in North Reading. And we teasingly call our plant partners the dark side. And I moved out of there and I went to work at a window as a sales and service associate in Wakefield, Massachusetts. And I absolutely got the bug. And I think because working at the general mail facility, we're really working nighttime hours and we're just processing mail. So we don't really have that contact with the customers like we do on the window, and transferring there, it was just absolutely, it was just wonderful getting to talk to the community and get to know them. And then I went and became a retail specialist working at the district, and from there became the retail manager. And the rest is history.
Lots of different position titles being, you know, thrown out there. The Postal Service employs all different kinds of folks in different capacities. It's not just postal carriers. Talk about that a little bit.
That's correct. We have jobs in for letter carriers. We have jobs for clerks, either to sort the mail or to actually service the customers over the window. We have casual mail handlers that help load and unload the trucks. We have jobs in a medical department for nursing. We have jobs in marketing and finance and in safety, in just about every department that you could possibly think about. So if somebody is interested in searching for a job, you would go on USPS.com/career, and we have all our job listings. You can go state by state, or you can go occupation by occupation for what may interest you. And it gets updated on a regular basis, usually on a weekly basis. So if something is not there today, you can always check back in about a week, and the job that you may be dreaming of may be there for you. And the great thing about the Postal Service is we believe about promoting from within. So it doesn't matter where you start in the organization. If you have the drive and the determination to go down a certain path and actually work your way up the ladder, it's very, very easy to do it within the Postal Service. They really reward good hard work.
Now, the federal hiring process is cumbersome. Does the hiring process for the Postal Service, since you're quasi-federal, is it any different or is it the same?
It's a little bit different. They would sign up online and you would go on a register. And from the register, if we had a certain amount of, say, letter carriers that we were looking to hire, we would go from the list and we would call those folks in to see if they're still interested in becoming a letter carrier, and then just go through the medical screening and, you know, all the steps that we have to go through. But that's usually how it happens, is you just go online and you...
How long does that process take?
By the time you sign up, you're on the list immediately. And then it depends upon where we're at in terms of how many people are traded out of the organization and how many temporary or casual employees we're looking to take in. So it's kind of a fluid number that moves around from week to week, month to month. There's times that we'll have a lot of people that are being called in, and there's other times where we may slow down a little bit. So,
What about veterans' preference?
Veterans' preference is, you know, it's the same way it is in the regular federal workforce, that you would have veterans' preference on your test score for the folks that did take the test, and for people who are applying for, you know, the career position or the temporary position would also have that preference as well.
I'm looking some of our backdrops here. You brought us some special stamps that have been used for commemorations. Talk about what you've brought and special issue stamps in general.
Well, I could talk about this one right here on your left. It would be my right. It would be the Ted Williams stamp. We just did a ceremony with the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park, and it was one of 4 stamps that were issued. It was Joe DiMaggio, Willie Stargio, Ted Williams, and another guy, Poggi, I think. I always forget his name. But we had the ceremony with the Red Sox, and they were ecstatic that we actually had the first day of issue down at Fenway Park. We just had a second one with the USS Constitution, celebrating its 200th anniversary, so they had that over to Charlestown Navy Yard. So, I mean, the community loves it when you have a stamp that can tie into what their mission is, or if it's a nonprofit. And we have stamp events and stamp unveilings on a regular basis with the community.
And they're always amazing, and I've had the privilege of being at several of them over the years. And they are wonderful community events. And your folks are very involved in the community. Talk about that a little bit and how postal workers are making a difference.
Well, we have a couple of things that postal workers can get involved in. Right? One, right off the bat, will be the CFC, the Combined Federal Campaign, which is a part of the entire federal community where they can use that campaign to donate to a charity of their particular choice. We have the letter carrier food drive that we have every May, and folks would leave canned goods out in front of their mailbox, and we would come by and we would pick it up and give it to the local food pantries. We also have a program called Secret Santa, and this is where some customers that are going through a tough financial time would write letters, especially if they're looking for clothing for their children, and we would have our customers come in and actually adopt a family and mail out presents and things along those lines around the holidays. So last year, we ended up adopting around roughly 600 families to help them out, and a good majority of that came from postal employees. But we also have a program called the Hero Awards, which is internal to the post office, and a lot of that is for employees that go above and beyond the call of duty. So we've had a number of letter carriers where they would see the mail build up in the mailbox, and they know there's an elderly person at home, and they would call the local fire department or the police department, and they would find out that there was an accident and the person was immobile, couldn't get to a phone. If there was, God forbid, a fire, and they happen to be the first one. So they're like the eyes of the neighborhood. They know everything that's actually going on.
Absolutely. I don't travel the way that I used to, but when I used to travel for work and my parents would be home, I would be grateful because I knew that our letter carrier was kind of keeping an eye out for them. I wanted to ask, and again, I'm looking at the poster in back of you, and it's reminding me, when we talked about the special issue stamps, is stamp collecting, is that as popular as it used to be?
Yes.
Okay.
Stamp collecting is very popular, but I wanted to also talk about our semi-postal, which is a stamp that's designed as a fundraising tool. And we deployed a little bit of postal trivia. Stamps being used as a fundraising tool started in the late 19th century, but we adopted it here on July 29th in 1998 with the breast cancer stamp.
Right.
Fund the fight, find a cure. And to date, we've sold almost 1 billion of those stamps and raised about $80 million. And we've had 4 of those over the years. We had the Heroes one post 9/11, where we raised $10.5 million that went to the rescue workers that were either killed or permanently disabled during September 11. And then we had a Stop the Violence one where we raised $3.1 million to help families with domestic violence.
Wow.
And now the more recent one that we deployed in September of 2011 was the Vanishing Species one, which is for threatened species or species that are vanishing. And that's going to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we've raised about $175,000 after that.
So explain how that works. Is it a regular postage stamp and the fee is the same and a percentage goes, or people are willing to pay a little more knowing that the difference goes to the cause?
People are willing to pay a little more knowing that the difference is going to the cost, and it's 10 cents more on top of the face value of the stamp.
Which is still
A great
like
deal.
the
It's still a
best
great
deal
deal.
going. The comedian, Jimmy Tingle, I'm sure some of our viewers have seen it. I would love to see this clip again. I've seen him 10 times over the years, and he always does a skit on the United States Postal Service. And for the cost of a stamp, the service that's provided and making sure that that piece of mail gets to where it's going safely, in many cases overnight, in some cases in just a day or two. It really is a good deal. What have I not asked you that you think our viewers need to know?
Well, there's been a lot of talk in the media and in the newspaper, on television, about the demise, or so-called demise of the Postal Service. And just to explain to the viewers that we are going through a little bit of financial difficulty right now with working with Congress and with the administration to try to straighten out some of the things that are wrong with the business model. But the Postal Service is a $65 billion company that's the cornerstone of an $800 billion industry that employs over 8 million people. So it would have a huge impact.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere anytime soon. But we're out there, we're competing with FedEx and UPS, and we're going for the package business. In terms of the decline of the first class letter going down, and when people open up their mailbox and they'll see, what we don't like to, we call it standard mail, some people call it junk mail, though we don't like to use that term. But in terms of how we're using technology today, or how mailers are using technology today with their mail pieces, studies have shown that most people will purchase something off the internet if they actually have the advertisement of the standard magazine on the table. So they're flipping through, they see something they like, they will go on to their website, and it will increase the possibility that they would actually purchase something. But now with modern technology, a lot of mailers are using the QR code. So they'll actually have the physical mail piece, because most people do look at their mail. Either, they'll put it in separate piles how they're going to look at it, but now using the smartphone technology, taking a picture of the QR code brings you right to the website, again, increases the possibility. So with direct mail, we found, studies have shown that businesses that do use the Postal Service usually on average have about a 3 to 5% return on business that's coming back to them that's directly tied to a mail piece that's going into the
It's a good
mailbox.
investment.
It's a great
It's a
investment.
good investment in a small business.
And-
Would you add anything, Wanda?
I would, and I'm glad that Jim kind of reminded me, because you asked earlier how we're remaining relevant, and that's one of the things. We've also developed a specialized shipping department, and part of what they do is mail samples. So we have, in addition to the Everyday Direct Mail and the direct mail pieces, we have also a sampling, a shipping department that's enabling our businesses, our business partners, to be able to do advertising that's cost effective. And I'll give you an example of a really nice campaign that one of our customers used recently. What they did was they went into 7-Eleven and they purchased prepaid phones. And we helped them design the box. They send out the letter inside the box with the prepaid phone, with their phone programmed in it. And what they said was, your phone must be broken, but please call us so we can help. And they had a 75% response rate. So if you're creative and you're a business and you have higher end customers, and I think a lot of the small and medium businesses do, then we can help you with that. We also have what we call customized mail. And with Everyday Direct Mail, Jim touched on the menus. But if you want to do something very creative, if you're a pizza shop, let's say, you can actually customize a mail piece that looks like a pizza that's going to stand out. Or if you have a restaurant, and we're going to help with that, and you can design it to be a cosmopolitan drink, a margarita if you have a nice eatery or a nice pub, whatever you like, you can do that. So that we are so much more than who we used to be.
So the thought going through my mind is, this is not your grandfather's United States Postal Service.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We can
Very different.
Diane, we can also help. If you're a business that wants to increase customer traffic, we have contracts. So we have stamps on consignment locations, like our business partners like Walgreens and CVS. We also have approved shippers, and approved shippers, the difference between an approved shipper and a contracted postal unit is that an approved shipper can charge more for our prices. So you can walk in as a customer and pay a little more based on what they designed that value to be. But if you want to be a contract postal unit or a contract access retail, we can help you by being on site, and it's going to increase your customer traffic. So in other words, we're going to compensate you, and it's going to be contingent on performance-based, how much of our products and revenue, products and services you sell on site. So it's going to be a winning situation, because you're going to be able to increase your customer traffic, and at the same time, we're going to build a partnership in that community. So that's another way that.
And the other piece for our business customers out there, we do have a partnership with the mailing industry called the PCC, and that stands for the Postal Customer Council. And we have one here in Boston. And if you want to learn more about it, it's www.bostonpcc.org, and it gives up-to-date events on seminars that we're having in terms of any changes that are going on in the mailing industry or any changes that are going on in the Postal Service. So if anybody is interested in that, you can go onto the website and it will give you a wealth of information on what you need.
Excellent. And Wanda, you mentioned somebody who's specifically responsible for helping small businesses.
Yes.
That person's name again was?
His name is Peter Clark, and I can actually give you his phone number.
Great.
So that he's a wonderful resource
Perfect.
to use. You can contact our departments, our customer and industry contact manager. You can contact me. I'll be more than happy to help in those efforts.
And where are your offices located?
We're domiciled on 25 Dorchester Avenue in South Station in Boston, Mass.
Excellent.
The General Mail facility.
Excellent. Well, this is great. Thank you so much for being
Well,
here
thank you
and
for
for
having
being
us.
our
Thank
guest.
you.
Time went very quickly, and yeah. I also want to thank our viewers at home, and again thank our guests for being with us today, for helping us to better understand how the Postal Service operates and the many, many services that it provides. As always, I hope that you will continue to join us as we feature other federal agencies on your federal government.